person I decided to interview was my mom's best friend, Sylvie. Sylvie has been my mother's best friend for a long time, and I know for a fact that they play a huge role in each other's lives. Sylvie is probably the most outspoken and strongest person I know. By that, I mean she will treat you equally to how you treat her, and she will definitely let you know if you're treating her poorly or if you're treating her with respect, and she will always stand by those who matter to her. Sylvie is someone that is not only close to my mother, but she is close to me as well. Although she isn't related to me, I consider her to be just like an aunt. Growing up wasn't exactly easy for Sylvie, however. At the age of 14, Sylvie moved out of her home and started living life like an adult. She doesn't like to go into detail, but she told me she was abused by some of her family members physically and emotionally. I decided to ask her some questions about this challenge she had to go through. One of the first questions I asked her was what she did and how she lived after she left. She told me a short story about how she couldn't afford her own house yet, so she decided to get a late-night job as a waitress and stayed in a motel. I then asked her what the hardest part about all this was. I expected her to mention something about missing her family, but instead she told me that the hardest part was waking up every night and working up for hours upon hours trying to earn money to pay off the costs of a motel in hopes of one day being able to afford a house of her own. Hearing her story was eye-opening. After all these years I had known her, she had been living with this experience in her memories. It brought another question to my mind. I asked her if there was anything she found along the way that made things easier for her. She explained to me that there was nothing easy about the way she was living, but she would occasionally find help from friends that knew her story. On some occasions, she found help based on the generosity of random strangers. My next question that I asked her out of curiosity was if she thought her experiences with her family and moving out changed her attitude towards life or changed herself in any way. She told me that it made her think more like an adult. With her having to go to work every day and having to be more responsible with every decision, such as how she spends her money. She mentioned that having to be more responsible at an earlier age wasn't such a bad thing because in the end, she said she was going to mature eventually and start thinking like an adult anyways. I then asked her if she noticed a change in regards to how people treated her. She gleamingly exclaimed to me that she noticed people did. She explained how if you start acting like an adult, that people seem to start treating you like an adult. She said she noticed that it wasn't just random people that started treating her like an adult, but her friends were as well. My final question that I asked Sylvie was if to this day she had overcome her emotions and experiences that she'd gone through and if she had moved on. She told me she had indeed moved on, however she is still curious about what it would have been like to live in a stable home with a stable family. She said she has always thought about what it would have been like all through growing up. Over the course of this interview with Sylvie, I have no doubt learned a lot about her. I can honestly say I knew nothing about any of the things she has told me. However, knowing what I know now, I think it has taught me a lesson. That is that no matter how much you think you know someone, there may always be a story or experience they've gone through that they've never told you, and that often reveals who they are today.